DMT, it seems like, yeah, that everybody might be seeing different versions of the same thing, but they are seeing these a million eyeballs looking at them, or little faces, or these entities approaching them. There's a similar thing happening. So why don't you try and describe what that is?
Well, it's interesting because there are obviously like different experiences to be had, and like, I'm kind of wary to do DMT again because I know if I was to have the exact same experience I had last time again, I'd be doing DMT every day. Like it was an awesome, beautiful experience. Yeah, it was wicked, but then it's different each time, and everyone sees something else. But what interests me are the things that are consistent. And there's even this new channel that popped up. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's just dedicated to doing machine elf information and like translation of what the machine elves tells him. And someone popped it over to me. I was like, not skeptical, but I was like, okay, this will be interesting. And then I started listening to him, and he was just describing them in ways that I hadn't described, and I kind of forgotten. I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely their qualities. These are the same things, and it's really weird because, like as he said, they don't look like machine elves. It's like I came out of it with this intuitive, like, I don't know. I was just saying these are the machine elves for some reason. They were machine, and that was about the only thing that they had in common with the entities that Terence McKenna described. But I was still
Is it
convinced that
are they constant? Like, do they keep us some primary form, or do they morph into different things? Like, sometimes when I meditate, I'll see these like spotlight things that'll eventually start to take different shapes, and then like just like a light that changes form and stuff like that. Is it something along that nature, or is it something different?
they are definitely changing constantly. It was like as I described in the video, they were machine smoke for like probably 90% of the time, and then every now and then they'd stay fixed for one random position, and then they'd shift again. And it was because there were several of them. It was like they'd be shifting when they weren't talking, and when they wanted to communicate something, one of them would just quickly fix. They'd whisper something, and then it would take another form. And it was interesting. This other video I watched, the guy was just explaining that they didn't like to be seen, and that's why he said that they changed form all the time. Is because they just didn't like to be seen. Now, it's possible that that like it's hard to say what these entities are. It could be that they are, something that we are channeling into from the cosmos, and they are consistent because they are something else.
Right.
Of course, it could be that they are an aspect of our subconscious, which we are then turning into these entities because we have that filter in our head, which I was kind of talking about a little bit, that turns experiences and stimulus into having a form and being independent. And so it could be, aspect of our subconscious. So if you have this framework in your mind which says, I have to feel like, maybe you feel guilty about taking psychedelics, maybe society's been like, you shouldn't be doing this, then when you come into contact with these entities, that part of you manifests itself, that subconscious part of you manifests itself into the experience of the entity, and all of a sudden it's like, you can't be seeing me, and I have to be vague, mysterious, and if you tell other people what I'm telling you, there will be consequences or something like that. Like, that's not what they told me, but that's kind of what this guy was saying. And it's like, that could just be because you feel guilty about seeing these entities, possibly. I really don't know. Yeah. That's where my head's been at a while at the moment, because I haven't been tripping for some time. And it makes you, it kind of makes you doubt yourself a little bit when you stop tripping, because when I was in there, like when I was tripping a lot, like doing
you seem pretty confident in your early videos on your channel. It's like, wow, this kid is he's like, you were very specific too in some of those videos. So like, I mean, that makes sense though. You get a little bit of a way. But you got to be able to take the knowledge and run with it without doing those things too.
Exactly. Like, I think whatever they said to me affected me in a real way. And it was like, whether or not I'm interfacing with something in the cosmos, whether or not it's an aspect of my subconscious, whether or not that's the same thing, doesn't really matter. It's like, what they told me was true because it applied to my life and it has made a real effect on my life. So the information they were sharing was real. At least so far, it has turned out to be. And uh, that's why I think just doubting yourself is not something you want to. It's not something you want to have in your mind when you go through these trips, because you just won't remember as much. And like, I know if I trip tomorrow, I'll all that doubt will be gone because the experience is hyper real. The DMT experience is realer than real life. It's like all of a sudden you take off your VR headset and you're like, oh, that's right, I was playing this game. I forgot I was doing that.